start again.
Sorry, Ed. Yeah, so that just if it's just broken now, just give us the update on AJ Pulev.
Yeah, so obviously, this has been a work in progress. The show's in March, April. You saw us announce last week that May was also postponed, and now it's come to the point with AJ on June 20 where we have to be realistic and say that date is very, very unlikely now. Not that boxing may not reconvene by June 20th, but a show of that magnitude is very unlikely to be able to put together. So we're speaking with Tottenham. We've postponed the June 20th date. We are working with them for dates in July and early August as well, where we hope we'll be back in the saddle. Difference with this event, obviously, we hadn't gone on sale. We hadn't made any major commitments in terms of hotels and flights and dates. So it's very easy for us to put that date back, and hopefully we see that fight take place at the end of the summer.
Is the idea still for it to happen at Tottenham at some stage?
For sure, yeah. I mean, look, we made the decision that Spurs was the place we wanted to go to for that fight. Incredible stadium. Already they've been a great partner without actually putting together the actual event yet. But we're very confident that that's where the event will take place. And again, a lot depends on the transition back into the sport. Do we start with studio shows? Do we then go to small hall shows, then to the O2, then to stadiums? Or do we get into position by that time of year where we are able and football's reconvened and there are big crowds gathering together, and that's a kind of wait and see scenario that we've got at the moment with AJ. There are opportunities maybe to even take the fight elsewhere, but AJ's preference was to make sure this fight was in the UK, in London. Spurs is where we want it to happen, and that's completely the plan right now.
As a Spurs fan, I actually persuaded him to do it at Tottenham, so I'd be gutted if he didn't do it now, because that single-tiered standard looked great for a boxing match. But absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's an incredible stadium. I mean, we were buzzing when we'd agreed with them a deal to get this done at Spurs, and so was he. Perfect stadium for boxing, perfect time to bring him back to the UK for British boxing. And as we know, there's more important things to deal with at the moment, and we'll hopefully all work together as a country to beat that, and then we can get back to the sport we love and bring the big man home.
Is it fair to say that fight itself is up in the air, given if Deontay Wilder was offered some step aside money and Tyson Fury fancied fighting AJ like a Christmas special? Is that true?
Well, the fight's definitely not up in the air. I mean, we have a signed contract with Kubrat Pulev. Tyson Fury has a signed contract with Deontay Wilder. I know there's been a lot of talk in the last couple of days about, could a deal be done where, don't forget, it's not just Deontay Wilder that would need to step aside, it's Kubrat Pulev as well. Yeah. But Bob Arum promotes both Tyson Fury and Kubrat Pulev. So I'm sure there's a deal to be done there. Yeah. So I think it's, I think right now, the situation is definitely we're fighting Kubrat Pulev, AJ Wilder's fighting Tyson Fury. But it's how long this postponement lasts. Yeah. There is going to be a situation where if fighters, and this is actually a good bit of news for boxing moving forward, is that fighters are going to have lost a significant chunk of their career. 5 or 6 months might not sound like the longest time in the world, but a fighter's career is short. And if people like AJ, if people like Fury, if people like Canelo, are only going to fight once a year, they may want that fight to be the biggest fight possible. So we certainly don't rule out talking about the possibility of moving into a Joshua Fury fight next. But we also understand we have a signed contract to fight Kubrat Pulev. He wants to, honour that, and we should honour that at the moment. But if there's a deal where all parties can get together and find a solution, we'd definitely be open ears.
Brilliant. I know you've got an Insta Live to do, so I'm gonna rattle through. I know it's tough for you at the moment at home on your Instagram and everything like that, but I've got the impression that you've got something in mind of doing some kind of mega show when this comes back. Am I right in saying that? Have you got something in mind?
I just think that, to be honest with you, I think all sport are going to be at a disadvantage in terms of where they were before. I mean, we've gained so much momentum in the last 8 to 10 years with the sport of boxing that it's naturally going to have, not even hit a glitch, but just lost some of that momentum. So when we come back, we need to make sure that we come back with a bang. We're going to have a conveyor belt of fighters that are going to be desperate to get out as soon as possible. We're going to have a load of backlog at shows. So one thing I can tell you is that when we start back up, the fans are in for a treat because we're going to try and make the biggest fights possible. Fighters are going to say, actually, forget that warm-up fight, stick me straight in.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to have probably more shows. We're going to have more action. We're going to have even deeper cards. And we need to come back with a bang. We need to remind people how great this sport is. And, you know, during this period, we've been trying to keep the content coming to make sure that, you know, fight fans keep interacting, keep talking about our sport, and that they don't lose interest. Because when we come back, we've got to come back with a bang. So definitely, you know, sitting at home and just doodling on the pad about cards and, you know, undercards and how they should do work and moving fighters. There's some exciting plans. And, you know, I always like to take a positive out of a negative situation. And that's what we'll be trying to do. Yeah,
brilliant. Just quick on Dillian Whyte, I suppose the February mandatory for him with the WBC is looking unlikely at the moment then.
I don't know. I mean, you know, I had a question yesterday about how a mandatory is affected in situations like this. I think everything's a case-by-case situation. You know, you've got purse bids that have been called, that have been delayed, and obviously those fights will be delayed. Dillian Whyte's mandatory is February 21. I see no reason why that should be delayed, to be honest with you, because Fury's still likely to fight this year. So I don't see an issue with things like that. But certainly there will be disruption across the board.
Billy Joe, I know he's someone you've always wanted. You know, I was there the day you signed him as well. You know, he's a wonderful boxer. But is this kind of in a way from you to him, come on, Bill, last chance saloon now, put your phone down?
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing because anyone that knows Billy Joe Saunders knows that he's a good man. He's got a good heart. He helps people. You know, ironically, helped a lot of people in the situation that he's being, condemned for. And also, more disappointingly, the weekend that he released that video, he was out dropping supplies off to the NHS and doing the rounds. So it's frustrating because you've got to just be smarter than that. Yeah. You know, you've got to understand your role within sport and society. You're not Joe Blogs, who, you know, has a 9-to-5, who has 40 followers on his Facebook account. You're a world champion. You're someone that people look up to and aspire to. And unfortunately, you have a role to play in society to try and educate and motivate and be role models to people. The video was stupid. There was no malice. He wasn't trying to, incentivize anyone to do anything. It was just something that he shouldn't have done. So I'm hoping that people can take that on board. We rap him on the knuckles and we say, you're an idiot. What are you doing? Have a brain. Yeah. But this is a problem at the moment. You know, the fighters are stuck at home, and the sport saved a lot of fighters by giving them that regimental lifestyle and that discipline and something to focus on. And right now they haven't got it. So I want them to get back in the gym as soon as possible. And we obviously want to get the shows up as soon as possible.
Finally, I know you've got to go in a minute. You've got to speak to Amir Khan. For me as a boxing fan, I'm gutted that Kell Brook Khan looks like it probably won't happen. I know you've tried and tried and tried. Is there one last thing in your head? Please, Amir. I know you're
maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I just think, like I said, coming off the back of this, we're going to try and be as aggressive as we can, shock as many fans as we can with like fight cards that just reignites the love and the passion for the sport. Yeah. And that's certainly one that would do that. That would be a great event to come back to in the back end of this year. So I haven't completely given up hope.
Finally, I know it's hard going in the fridge when we're all at home. Have you done any workouts at home yourself? Have you kept fit?
I'm trying. Listen, we recently recorded a series called Fighting Fit, which launches on Sky Sports next week. It's really funny. It's 30 episodes, 20-minute hit sessions. You know, we had Mark Wright, we had Sam Quek, we had Lawrence Okoli, we had Shannon Courtney, we had Conor Benn, we had Luke Campbell, we had Akin Fenwa, we had loads of different Bazinga, loads of celebs, and it was so much fun. And what I did one, it was the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. Wait till you see it. So that will launch next week, and just trying to tick over and stay out of the fridge.
In fairness to you, you're always travelling. You can't have the best diet in the world. It's tough. It's tough.
No. So yeah, that's a good thing anyway.
Thank you so much, mate. I really appreciate it.
All right, mate.
I'll see you soon.
Cheers, mate.
Take care. Bye.